Today we're going to work on drawing a nose from the front. One thing that's really important to notice is that there's no line here on the side of the nose. The most common mistake I see is when students will draw a line right here. You really want to show the shape of the nose just with shading. The places where you will have a contour line might be the outside edge of the nostrils and this bottom crease just at the top of the nostrils right here. Okay, so we're going to start with the overall width. I need to measure that. So to do that, I'm going to place the tip of my pencil right up against that outside edge there, and I'll use my finger to mark the other side. So now I know how wide the nostrils are. I can come over to my picture and just make a mark, and then look at where it's supposed to end over here, and then I'm just going to double check that and make sure I'm not off. Looks pretty good. Okay. So now I know where the outside edge of the nostrils are going. On this one, the contour line extends all the way down and around here. Everybody's nose is different, so it just depends on the shape of the nose. On the other side, it's a little bit more subtle. There's really not a line on this side. There's a little bit of one right through here, so I'm just going to put just a tiny bit there. The strongest contour line is this kind of wing-shaped thing. So I'm just going to figure out where it starts, lightly gesture it in because I might have to change it, so I don't want to go too dark at this point. And then up on the other side. And I think that's going to work, maybe a little bit higher for that. There we go. All right. The rest of it is done with shading. Okay, so when you're shading the nostrils, you don't want to shade a big black shape. It'll look like they have a black bean stuck in their nose. Instead, the top edge is really quite dark, so you'll push hard here. But then you want to fade, so you're getting lighter and lighter as your pencil moves down. So you want to make sure you're showing that fade, and it will look like the nostrils going in right there. Same thing on the other side. So nice and dark at the top edge, really dark in there, but I'm quickly fading lighter as I go down. Okay, so we're not done with shading. If I look at this part of the nose, this is all darker than what I have on this side over here. So I'm going to start with just shading this bit of a shadow that's happening along the bottom edge of the nose, and it's wrapping around right through here like this. Here it gets a bit lighter, so I am going to shade it, but not quite as heavily. This shadow continues up the side of the nose. Now, one thing that we want to keep in mind is that you can use the direction of your shading to show the shape of the nose. So if I shade more this way, kind of angling down on the right side, and I change directions on the left side, that's going to help inform that shape. I may want to go darker later, but I think that's good for now. It gets really dark on this outside of the nostril, so I'm going to take this a bit darker over here. And then just generally this whole area on this side is darker, so I'm just going to just give it kind of a quick base right through that section. There we go. Okay, other side of the nose. We're looking at a teeny little shadow right underneath here, so I'm going to put that in. Then we've got a little bit of light here, a little bit darker on the other side, right there. And then quickly fading lighter, but not quite paper white, so just a very, very, very light tone. Here we're seeing this shadow. I didn't have a line on this side like I did on this side. So instead I'm going to show that just by shading that a little bit darker. I'm just going to give this whole area just a quick base tone because it's not super, super white. And then I'm going to go back through and shade that one bit darker to show where that outside of the nostril is. So it's just kind of running along like that. We have a highlight on the nose right here, so I'm going to leave that part paper white. I'm going to shade horizontally around it. So this is kind of like the shape of the bridge of the nose. So shading this way on the right, straight across through the middle, and kind of angling down this way on this side. I've kind of exaggerated my hatch lines so you can see them. You can do yours a little bit more refined if you prefer, it doesn't matter to me. This is just sort of a practice study sketch. Okay, I want to continue to do my shading over here, so I'm just going to continue with this, make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to push in just a little bit more of a shadow core right through here, just to give it a little bit more shape. All right, so main things to remember about noses. You should only have lines underneath the nostrils, outside of the nostrils, that's it. For the side of the nose, please try to show that with your shading.